practice in the NASDAQ this afternoon. So if anybody comes online and decides that they want to trade or look at a particular day, let me know and we will definitely do that. Um, so a little bit about today. Today was a little bit more of a harder day of trading just because of the rotation or the rotational nature of the market today. And it was a fairly tight range for a lot of it. It opened up a little bit this afternoon, right? Coming in from these highs, which I did get in from this area here. That's why my profit is more today. But when you look at the earlier session, we had a little bit of a breakout and then just absolutely just traded in this really, really tight range until we finally broke out to the downside and been trading to the downside ever since. So we will replay today's session tomorrow. I didn't hit my daily expectancy. I was about $900 shy of that today, but $1,100 revenue day on a day like today, I will take it. Welcome, Cameron. Hope you are well. All right, we are going to want to wait until a couple other people get on and see what you guys want me to do in terms of replay. I would not be looking for a long position here. I'm still anticipating price action to be rotational down to the 420 area as a possibility. Another area would be around the 750, 730 range, somewhere right around in there. That would be rotational in the context of the daily session of Asia, London, and the US, and then also rotational in terms of the 30-minute chart. Mano, welcome. Thank you for joining. I'm waiting for a couple of individuals to get on. They're in the Discord channel. I wanted to see and check if they want me to play a particular day or if they just want me to play a day. I'm thinking about doing this last Friday. Because I didn't trade this last Friday in terms of footprints. I traded off of the dome. So the heat map, not the dome, but the heat map. And so I kind of want to check and see what would end up being better. And I want to change my filters on this real quick as well. That's actually heat map. I want the dome. There we go. So 20 is not enough. Let's go to 30. Is 30 enough? Let's try 25. Let's go back to 20. That looks about right. We have an auction here. We have another one down here. Yeah, that looks about right. We don't have anything up here, really. That's why I took the short a little bit late, because I didn't really have anything above me that was in any way, shape, form, fashion pointing to possible rotation lower around that high. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into Friday. We need to shut the live off for this. Gonzalez, welcome. Hope you are well. I'm getting the replay for this last Friday up right now. I'm doing Friday because I didn't trade Friday in the charts that I have up right now. I traded with the DOM. And Friday is let's go ahead and set that up and see what happens. Am I thinking shorts here in terms of what the current market? Not at the moment. I definitely wouldn't want to go long here, but off of the long-term perspective, we're still looking for rotation lower, but we're in a pullback right now, and I don't see anything of strength to the downside. I only see strength to the upside. So wait until the pullback is over and look for a resumption to the downside is what I would suggest and what I'm looking at in terms of the charts. And then looking for, even then though, you're only looking for a pullback into, around the 80s or so, right? Because we don't know if we're going to break those lows. Just because we're looking short in the longer term doesn't mean that that's going to play out nice and clean within the short-term charts. And so we have a perspective, but we've got to trade the short term and based upon what it is showing us at the current time. But yes, I am definitely looking for a continuation to the rotation to the downside, or a continued rotation to the downside is how I should word it. And if you want to, we can go ahead and watch on real-time action. I can get back to it really quick. I was just going to replay this day and see how well I did in this session from Friday on a short US session comparatively to how I did in the heat map. But if you want to see overall what's going to happen in the power hour or the second half of the US session, let me know. I can definitely go back and pick up live there. But yes, we're still in here. I'll show you what I mean by looking short so we can have perspective. I'm going to show you in the long-term charts why I am still looking for a continuation to the downside. Here, just give me a second. I need to grab my water real quick while this is loading. Okay, let's take a look. So first of all, right, in the context of this large yellow area, the highlighted area, that's a low volume node of a higher time frame. So if you look at the 30-minute chart here, right, we are very rotational in this area. And if you look, price action has been rotational in this area. But in this area here, price hasn't spent a lot of time around that area. And when price action isn't spending a lot of time around the area, you're not really anticipating rejection in that area. You're looking for price action to flow through it. And right now, price action is flowing through on the upside, right? But when we take a look at this time frame, let's blow it up a little bit so I can show you. All right. We have what's called unfair highs up here in this area. Where do unfair highs come from? They come from volume profile. 70% of volume trades in this area. Outside of the area, price action still moves, still trades, but it's volume that's not considered part of the volume cluster. It's outside of that range. And when we're outside of that range, we're anticipating rejection to come in from these lows. and from these highs to move back into rotation. What did we do today? We came right up into unfair highs, right into the rejection area right here, and we rejected and traded down. What are we doing right now? We're coming back into that low volume area. So we came into the low volume area here. We traded back down through value, back into value, into this low volume node. We're rejecting from here and trading higher. But in overall context, we're still holding these highs here. And we haven't even made higher highs from the previous, previous highs. And so I'm anticipating some form of rejection here, but probably not until we get to 65 to 06, somewhere right around in there. And that's where I'd be looking for rejection. But that's also in confluence or connection to this daily time frame chart. We came up, this is the Asia, London, and US sessions combined, okay? This is Friday. This is since June 2nd, since we've been in a rotational market after making all-time highs last time. We've been in this rotation, and we're currently in the rotation now. And where did we reject from today? The same area on the 30-minute chart. And we traded down through value area high. Were we anticipating price to rotate back to? Well, we're anticipating price to come back down into VPOC, into value area low. And so we're still anticipating the price action to be rotational, not trending right now, because we're not in a trending market condition. We're in a range or rotational balance condition in terms of auction market theory. Does that answer your question? That's why I'm looking short. That's why I'm thinking short, right? So what is current price doing right now? Current price is now coming off of that exact area I was talking about. We have high levels of buyers and sellers off of these highs right here, and price action has been coming down. We're coming back and testing the sellers right now. We don't have any aggressive selling in here at the moment. We do have buying, but not selling. So be anticipating these highs to be broken. But just because we're going up in the short-term chart doesn't mean that we have gone against the longer time frame or the rotation of the longer time frame. And so when I'm saying short, I'm talking about the longer time frame themselves, not that the short time frame has locked into a direction yet, because the direction on the shorter time frame is still long, but the overall direction of the shorter time frames is short, or the longer time frames is short, if that makes sense. So what we need to do in putting all this together is lean on the longer time frame to give us directional support, then wait for confirmation on the shorter time frame to enter the direction of the longer time frame. And again, just because I'm looking short on the higher time frames does not mean that I'm turning around and saying that it's time to go short on a lower time frame. And now is not a bad idea to take a stab to the short side. So let's see what happens. We're not anticipating price action to stay in this area for very long. We're looking for it to rotate back to the bottom portion of this edge, or to pull back and retrace and move back up into the higher. area of this range. And because of the perspective on the longer time frames and where price is currently at, I'm anticipating rejection from this area and a continuation to the downside. We don't have an area in here yet where I can start to increase inventory, increase size, right? So I'm just a one lot right now, and I'm just waiting. We do have buyers stepping in here, which could be seller exhaustion down here at the low. So we have to watch that. But we're anticipating this to hold as potential resistance. And if it doesn't, we're probably going to rotate back up here to this area. And in that context of the rotation, that's going to give me price action moving back up into my area of entry. And that's where I can get in with inventory if it comes up there. And if it doesn't, I have one on at least, right? And I can manage this one position through this area. And like I was saying here, possible, seller exhaustion down here at the lows, which is 100% what we're seeing. We're seeing buyers getting more aggressive up here at the highs. Price action can absolutely rotate and break these highs here. Only being in a single contract right now, I have a very, very, very tight stop, only risking $21 on the overall position because I'm only in one contract. Nothing is telling me here at this point to add or to get into additional short positions. But remember, I'm looking at this area here, the auction itself, right? Buyers and sellers around the same price getting aggressive. I'm looking at that to act as a magnet, and I want to see how price and volume trade around this area. Price actions immediately coming off of that area, anticipating it come down here, possibly pull back and test back into here because I'm anticipating buyers to step in. There's the buyers. We're back to the high volume, which act as a magnet. This is where we're going to be an inflection point. If sellers are strong, they're going to defend this area and push back down and test here. If buyers are strong, we're not even going to get back down here and we're going to start to rotate higher. And right now, neither are getting strong. But sellers are a little bit stronger. They're probing back down again, but they're not willing to get aggressive at these levels. And if sellers aren't willing to get aggressive at these levels, we're going to rotate back up here. If sellers don't get aggressive and levels again, we're going to rotate back up into this area. The more often we rotate higher because sellers aren't getting aggressive lower, the higher probabilities that we're going to go through this area and start breaking higher highs. This is where I'm going to go ahead and get aggressive on my exit, get out with a break even. Price action's not showing me that it wants to continue to the downside, right? And since it doesn't want to continue to the downside, I'll let it cycle back up here again. If sellers get aggressive, I can get back in. If not, what's going to happen? Buyers are going to push above this area. Look at that strong buying right there. I don't want to be selling into the strong buying. So I'm waiting. I'm anticipating this high of this bar to break. And then depending on what buyers do with that high, possibly break this high over here. So just because I'm looking short doesn't mean I'm going to hold on to shorts, hoping and praying that shorts take over. I'm trading the area, not hoping and praying. Two different things. I'm just looking at Delta there. Delta's rising strongly through this area as it's coming back up through here. We have a nice move in Delta. And price action is coming back up to this area again. We do have stronger sellers in here. If I wasn't paying so much to Delta, I would be short again right at the close, right when the bar went back through the open of this bar. But I got out on the stop and I missed the re-entry point. But that's the re-entry point right there. And so what are we anticipating for this re-entry? That we're going to come down and we're going to break this low. But what's happening? We find buyers support again down through here on lower levels of buying. That means that sellers' aggression is not happening at the lows. Buyers are pushing price back up again on lower volume. That means that seller exhaustion is happening and buying pressure is moving this market right now. So yes, you can have a short bias in the market due to long time frames, but not get hurt because you understand how to trade the condition that you're in. And so in the London session today, in the US session, I was up about $1,100, up 550 right now. Let's see if we can hit my $2,000 daily expectancy. So I need another $900. And so we might as well just go ahead and trade the afternoon session because we're already here. And then I can test or play back and practice Friday's session later on in the stream. So price action is still strong here. I don't really have a place to buy at the moment. I would get in long, even though the short time frame is telling me short, but I don't really have a place up here that appears to be attractive on the buy side. But I also don't want to short here because we have nothing but buying pressure stepping into the market. So I'm kind of waiting to see, are we going to break out of this area? And if we do I get a pullback where buying this is appealing? Because that can absolutely happen. We just haven't done that yet. And this is kind of what the US session has been about today. Is this exact price action right here. It's not easy trading today. Not easy trading at all. Doesn't mean you can't make money. It's just it's not coming easy today. Actually have to work. And there's the break. Immediately we see some rejection stepping into the market, anticipating price action to come back down into this area. And if we hold this area with some stronger buying coming into the market, like right there, that's a reason to buy. You don't want to get heavy in these positions. You want to stay pretty light because price action up in this area can snap back on us at any given time based upon the higher time frame, right? So the higher time frame right now is telling us short, but price action at the moment, the way it's holding and buyers supporting lows on lower volume, I would be anticipating price action to at least move up to the 10s. But we're going to see if that happens or not. We're trading right here around FIG, right? Figure being 30,000, a nice whole number, and individuals like to trade around or fade big numbers for whatever reason. And that's kind of what we're seeing at the moment. So we'll just kind of sit back and see what happens at FIG. Is this going to create a reversal, or are we going to see buyers defend these lower areas? One of the areas I would anticipate them to defend right now is right here. And if we get through this pretty quickly, price action has a good chance of rotating all the way back down into these lows. But if we find some buying pressure, like we're seeing here, then price actually has a chance to come back and cycle back up into these areas and possibly beyond. I normally don't like buying highs like this because you're buying the high of a range. But we had all this buying support underneath us. And I was anticipating that to possibly push price up. And it's just not behaving that way right now. We're getting sellers a bit more aggressive here. I'm going to go ahead and get defensive on my stop, reduce my overall risk. If we start breaking these highs right here, I'm going to move my stop right below this area of VPOC here as long as VPOC stays there. Volume is now starting to accumulate in a higher price or at higher levels above this area, which is showing that there's more activity higher into the bar, but I'm not seeing that higher activity into the buy side. So I'm still anticipating the further rotation down. And now we reduced our risk a little bit from being, down what we were going to be looking at $65. We're only down $40, $49, or whatever it might be on that expense. I think it's 55 and I was up like 5. So $55 instead of 65. Want to limit risk as much as possible. The market's not doing what you anticipate it to do. It's doing something else. And you just want to limit your risk. We don't have a nice strong close on this bar, so I don't want to really short on this current bar. Plus we have this support beneath us at the moment. I much prefer to see this low broke. If we can break this low, I'm so tired. If we can break this low, what I'm anticipating to have happen is the bar to close near its low and then turn around and pull back into this area for a possible short. Maddie, how's it going? It's good to see you. How you been? Did you have a good weekend? How was your trip? I was up about $1,100 from the US session today, just trading micros, and I'm currently, and I went to go to hit the replay so it refreshes the balance, and I just took a $55 expense on a long up here looking for a continuation play to the upside. Are you still at Lake in Germany chilling out? Sweet. Love it. How's the lake? You enjoying your time over there? And I hesitated on a short here a little bit, just because we have such low volume. I was waiting to see if we accumulated volume in here at all, and it just went. And so I'm not going to chase it, but that's definitely a signal for a short there after we held this area. Now I'm looking for the bar to close near its low and then a pullback into this area here and then a possible continuation to the downside. Now, when you go to the lake, do you do any jet skiing or water skiing or anything else like that, or you just chill? I used to be a lake route. I used to go to Lake Mead all the time, and right outside of Vegas, Bullhead City, Arizona. We're on the border of Arizona and Nevada, and used to do a lot of um, water skiing, jet skiing, and stuff. 20 seconds for the close of this bar. Waiting for it to close to see where it closes at within the range. Just chill, hike, and mountain bike. It's not much fun with the lake. Mountain biking is fun though. That's awesome. That's awesome. I hope you guys have a great time. I haven't been mountain biking, God, since I was a teenager. I don't even remember back then. If you believe it, we even had wheels back then. I'm gonna share my trades when I'm back at the PC in a couple weeks. Sweet, I appreciate that. That'd be awesome. I've been sharing my trades that I've been doing off stream, in the trading section of Discord. So there was that pullback into that area I was talking about, right? And then now looking for a continuation to the downside, back down into this area down in here. We'll see if we get there or not. Today was a pretty tough day of trading, actually. Maddie, you didn't miss anything. We had another market shift to the upside where we broke out to the upside, right? After being rotational. And then, of course, at that point in time, price action can shift back into lower value. It can just go sideways, or it could break out to the upside. And it broke out to the upside again, but then it just went sideways for quite some time. And it's just, it's difficult trading. There's just no follow through. And I'm playing down here in the range instead of where I'm supposed to be, where I can collect inventory on the short side all the way up here. So I was planning on doing a replay rather than trading this session. But that's okay though. We're going to trade this session. We're going to see what we can do. Sellers are getting a little bit more aggressive down here, but we do have some buying stepping in at the same time. Looks like sellers are winning at the moment, but we really don't see sellers actually gain momentum until we break this low. So, you know, as you're coming down here and it pauses, buyers step in stronger, and now price action is moving higher. Buyers stepping in more aggressively here around the 68s. I'm anticipating this high to be broken here. What happened if I move my stop up here? Less than $100? Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to give this some room because I'm still seeing movement to the downside. Price action is strong here, but I have an area that I might be able to gain some size, some inventory before price action swings back down to the downside, if it does. But this is an area where I could start to pick up some inventory in the market. We're just moving around all over the place on weaker volume than normal. Again, not a lot of participation in the market. The less participation we have, the more difficult it is to trade it. I'll go ahead and add a second one there. I wanted to add a second one up here. I just didn't get what I was looking for in this area like I did here. See how price action was trading up and it came back down and we kind of traded this area here. Sellers are getting more aggressive in this area than buyers. Now we're starting to see buyers get more aggressive here, as you know, because we didn't see price action get back down below its open. So now buyers are kind of defending this area a little bit more. But when I entered, we had stronger sellers, and I was anticipating this bar to possibly come back down through its open again and move back down into these lower areas of higher volume. And it just didn't happen, which is fine. So now what I'm going to do is see what price does up here when we test into these higher levels of volume, if I have a place to be able to add into another short or not. Remember, this is all about inventory, being able to scale into the position up here. I'm looking for this high to break because we've already tested it and rejected it. And then I want to see what happens here. We have there 201, 197. Buyers are starting to get less aggressive, starting to get more aggressive now that I entered again, but they were getting less aggressive, and sellers are more aggressive at the highs, telling us that buyers are possibly drying up and looking for another move to the downside. Buyers are getting a little bit more aggressive here. Let me blow this up so I can see my numbers a little bit easier. And so I'm anticipating this high to be broken. Put a target in pretty tight to this price action in case this does come down here. So we have 340 sellers. We have over 400 buyers, right? We have 200 and we have 137, and price action is not even able to make a higher high here yet. We have 310, 348 sellers. We have less than 200 here, and price action is unable to get back into the open of this bar. Buyers are still strong. And we have our area of resistance up here. Above this area, I don't want to add into the position, but this isn't a bad area to look for another position to add. That's going to raise our entry up again. And then I can look for an area in here for another potential target. And if I get both my targets hit here, I still have two positions on for lower targets. Buyers are still in control of this market, even though we're cycling down here a little bit. Buyers are still in control, anticipating this high to break. We're dropping now on much lower volume. Need to see what happens at this low. This low is important. Not because it's an important low, just in terms of we've had so much buying pressure in here. Want to see price action drop through here on higher volume. We're starting to see that. The close of this bar is important for a continuation or a possible continuation to the downside. Hey, JJ, how's it going? It's good to see you. Buyers are still in control of this market. Didn't even give me a chance to react there down there. Hey, Gal, how's it going? It's good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Price action is not behaving in a way that is telling us that it wants to continue into the long time frame direction right now. It's telling us that it would like to continue higher. Looks like I'm going to give back a little bit of the profits that I made. In the morning session, I was up about 1100. I was going to do the replay that reset the balance today, but I was up. I don't know. It's in Discord. What was it? 1133, 1138, somewhere right around there today, when it was all said and done. But it looks like I'm going to give some of it back now. This is the area here that I'd be looking for, the last little area of resistance. I don't see any selling pressure in here. I see buyers still aggressive. I'm anticipating this high here, this little area, to be broken, and we should see some momentum to the upside, which is going to come up and hit that stop. But it hasn't done that yet. We're pausing, so I'm waiting. There's the momentum to the upside. And there's a stop. All right. Let me clean up my chart here real quick a little bit and get my other areas. Price coming from value area low and VWAP bounce. Shorting is a bit wild. What was the reason? So the reason for the short was one, this little structure here holding. My primary reason is two. We're coming off a value area high and this low volume area off of the daily long term. So I was looking for a continuation play to the downside there. And the long term is telling us we're coming off of the unfair highs here. We're back into this low volume area right here. At the time of my short, we were holding that as resistance, and I was looking for a possible continuation to the downside and the perspective of the longer time frame chart. And we just rotated higher. It happens. Sorry, my hindsight knowledge. Everyone can be like that after the fact. Well, no, 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 and it's absolutely correct, right? We can only see in the charts what we see, right? It's all about perception, and where's our perception right now? Um, and I don't have VWAP up. I don't pay attention to VWAP. We're in an area here of this broader range from here to here of low volume. Okay. And in the context of my short, when we came off from this area, here is my area here on my long time frame, right here, right? That's my long time frame. That's my long time frame. We just came off of this whole long in the session. We came sideways, we came down, and we came up and made a higher high, and we rotated in this area. Well, we've kind of done the same thing right here. We're doing exactly the same thing. And so you're thinking either a continuation play or it's possibly going to come up and break out of this area up here, right? But because of the perspective of the long time frame, I'm still looking that we can rotate back down into the 800s, the 700s, right? And so that's really the perspective for me in that. I gave the market enough room. I allowed myself enough space to be able to pick up some inventory, and I picked up an expense trade. It happens. Um, but the left side you have buyer big trade, and their buyers in control and sellers failed auction. Okay, correct. But if you notice what I did in that trade, okay, if you notice what I did, I was trading inventory in an area. I wasn't trading a dot telling me buyers are in the market. I wasn't trading in a way that I needed to be right from this particular area. I was trading in this range, looking for inventory to go short in this range. Price action took me out by breaking this high because the range broke. And at any given time in here, sellers could have stepped back in. I would have turned around and gotten more size in the market at higher prices. So if I'm looking for a short here and I just want to be right, you're 100% correct. But if I'm trading in an overall range here and I have a long time frame perspective I'm trading off of, and I'm collecting inventory as it's going against me, I'm trading a different perspective than you're seeing on your charts. So you can challenge me all you want to, and I don't mind the challenges, to be quite frank with you. But what you're seeing and what I'm seeing, the whole reason for my position was completely different than what you're looking at. And what are we seeing here? We're seeing rejection off that same area that I'm looking at. Right through here. Aligned to long time frame. We're seeing the buyers pause in this area. If anything, I should have raised my stop a little bit and added more into this area. Because we're probably going to come down and test this area again. And had I stayed in and added in this area, my price would be entered for an entry right about here. I wouldn't have to go very far to be able to start taking some profit out of this area in 5-6 contracts. I could exit here. I can exit here. I can exit here for a scalp. Do I have any Discord for communication? Well, absolutely. Do exclamation mark Discord. Oh, you missed exclamation mark, Maddie. And I should have sometime in the next couple of days, everything set up where I've got all the information coming up on my live for the chat and everything else, alerts, for followers and different things along those lines. So, I should be able to have everything up and everybody can kind of interact that way as well. Exclamation mark Discord or exclamation mark social. So this is what you do if you want to get into the social into Discord. You want to, and I could do it, but I can't because this doesn't give me the function for the chat. I should get that fixed as well this week, so I can actually type this stuff in myself. Well, what you want to do is you want to type in. That's not what I wanted to do, but that's okay. There. And you want to do is type in exclamation mark Discord. And then that will give you exactly what you want. I can't go. I've only been streaming for 2 weeks now. I don't have all of the technology together. I can go in and type into the chat for Twitch. Maybe this will let me. Let me just see. Yeah, no, I can just do it for Twitch only. I can't type into the chat right now for my multi-stream. So just got to bear with me. I'll get there, I promise. And if you guys are questioning what I'm doing in the market right now, okay, watch my other live streams. Go back and watch some of those, okay? I was down $5,500 one session, and by 12 o'clock of the US session, by 12 o'clock, I was up $240. Through the whole thing, I was saying if you can't stomach this type of drawdown, you gotta stop. But I went from $5,500 down to $240 up. Okay. Everybody takes expense trades sometimes. VWAP, I don't use it. Why? Because VWAP is taking an average of time of volume. When you use time, you're not at the live edge of the market. And sometimes my reads they're off. That's standard drawdown for any business. Any business type out there, you're going to have drawdown, you're going to have expenses. You can't mitigate all expenses. And we all see something different. And there's going to be times where a VWAP is going to get you in, you're going to have an expense, and I'm going to be on the opposite side, and I'm going to have revenue. But this area is from a long-term perspective. And I was trying to enter around that area to pick up inventory on a micro account, because there's no sense in just entering one contract in a micro and 10 points later you're up 20 bucks. It's not it's not worthwhile. It's like being at Vegas on penny slots, right? I can go into the minis, but the problem is individuals that are trading prop accounts. If you're trading prop accounts and minis and a risk of 10, 20 points, which you need to do in this type of market condition, you're risking too much for a small watermark trailing drawdown. I've been trading since 1998, was the first trade I took, in pork bellies, day trading. The next trade I took was a option and a put an option in orange juice at 104 that I covered at 78. And then I started trading the S&P 500 main index at $250 a point in a $15,000 cash account. Then I turned around and went to work with an attorney, had another $15,000 account. I turned that into $32,000 in a matter of 8 days of trading. I've been around, guys. I've been trading for a long time. I love different perspectives, but don't try to explain away in an expense trade. Expenses are going to happen. And if you're trading within the context of your plan, there's nothing to explain away. Shorted 29,960. Yeah, JJ. Yeah, exactly. It rejects again, right? And worth a short, and you got the lows. Exactly, 100%. Is it going against VPOC? Sure. Do I fade the LTF sometimes? Sure. What did today start out with? Today is a market shift. Okay, the market is shifting. We have extremely low volume in terms of what we normally have. We don't have a lot of participants behaving and acting at the similar prices we do right here, which is nice. If I get below here with some sellers coming into the market, I'm just going to go ahead and short here and put a stop here, regardless of what VPOC is, what VWAP is telling me. Why? Because there's an auction here. There's participants here. There's a reason for me to get in here looking for particular rejection coming into the market based upon my perception. Is my read always right? No. But my daily expectancy is $2,000 for a reason. In the US session this morning, I was up $1,100 between trading a little bit of London and the US session until about a little bit after the open. So I appreciate the different perspectives, right? But we all take trades for a reason. We're all traders doing our own thing. Trying to explain away somebody else's expense makes no sense whatsoever. I own my expense. I come in here at 2 o'clock not to trade the afternoon of the US session, but to practice. Somebody asked me a question, so I decided to come back here and trade this, right? But why do I practice? To get better. So all good luck, what, in the short? You know what? Yeah, it might turn around and stop me out. It's okay. If I have 3 expense trades in a row, I'm not reading the market well in that particular session. I stop. I've had 1 right now. Resistance coming in, price actions coming down. We haven't made a lower low yet. In this current bar, we just did. Now I want to see how sellers respond to this area. If we start getting back up into this area, I'm moving my stop to a break even. This isn't an area that I'm looking at adding positions in. I'm looking for a quick move down of momentum. You guys don't even understand the whole reason of me entering in these areas, yet you have opinions. I'm entering in these areas for a reason, expecting to see something. It's not about luck. I'm trading the auction and what the auction is currently telling me. I'm not trading indicators. I'm not trading VWAPs. I'm looking for momentum to come into the market from these highs based off of a higher time frame perspective. I'm not seeing that momentum right now. Beautiful. I traded around an area of the higher time frame that didn't work out. That honestly, I minimized the risk of completely. $277 of a risk is nothing when you can pick up 800 to 1,000 on a revenue position. Yeah, this is absolutely order flow. Saul, that's exactly what I'm trading is the market's an auction, right? And all I'm doing is reading the participants of the auction. That's it. That's all I'm doing. And in that context, I'm seeing sellers and buyers participating in a conversation together at a particular price around a high of an area that's important to me. 100% I'm going to short that area. I'm anticipating sellers to pop into the market. Can buyers come back in? Of course they can, but that's what trade management is for, right? And what am I seeing in this auction right now? Buyers are absolutely 100% strong in this market. 100%. I'm going against the grain of the auction, but I'm going against the grain of the short-term auction because the long-term auction is still telling me short. And so if I go against the short term and I fade the short term, it doesn't take much for the short term to turn. And right now we're still showing strength on the long term as well. But in an area where we would expect to see rejection. And how do we know if it rejects or not? Time. I just don't give the market time. Why? Because time is lagging. Because if I wait for time, I'm getting in someplace down here. And now I've lost my edge. If the market goes up against me, I'm going to be stopped out. If the market comes up against me now, my edge is so close to the high, I can get out with a break even. I can manage the position. I don't have to hope and pray that it's going to go. Exactly. A risk-free trade. It's a free trade. Exactly, Saul. That's exactly and JJ, that's exactly why I trade the way that I do. The problem with my first entry down in here just a little while ago, I don't even remember where I entered it at. I think I entered it over here. The problem with this entry, I got in way too low. Okay. But there is a chance here, and you can't tell me that the chance doesn't exist, right? We came up and we held this auction, okay? Barely breaking the highs. My entry for the initial short should be up here. I can't enter it. Already happened. Price action came down. We made these highs here, barely broke this high. I'm anticipating these lows to break down here. I entered down in here after sellers got more aggressive. That should be my second entry, not my first. My first should be up here where I can manage the trade better. But I'm trading this overall area of short-term possible resistance in the market. And the buyers stopped me out. So I got back into the edge right here, went short where I was supposed to, got out with a break even. I don't really want to go long in here because of the perspective of this longer time frame. Yeah, we've got up bars here, right? But in volume profiling, we're up here near unfair highs. We came off the unfair highs. We haven't come down into unfair lows yet. We're making higher lows, but we rejected off of this area that I have from this higher time frame. And I'm anticipating price action to come down, stay within this area, and possibly reject. We're at the high of the area right now. This is my edge. I need to be in here off of my edge because if we come down off of this, we're going to come down off this nicely. And if it stops me out, I stop taking shorts from this area and I wait until we get back up here. And I can scalp between these two areas. But I don't want to go long when a long-term perspective is telling me that this right here can possibly be the high. I don't have enough room for potential profits in the longs. Can it go? Sure, it can go. The market can do anything it wants to. I have to trade my perspective and what's on my charts and what I know to trade. That's all it is. Nobody is wrong. Nobody's right. We have to trade what we see. And here I got in at the edge and it allowed me to get in with a break-even trade or get out with a break-even trade. And now what is it doing? We still have buyers in control of the market. I'm not trading this now. I'm waiting for a little bit more confirmation before I try to because I'm anticipating this high to break. But if it gives it to me, I'm going to have to go short in this area again because it's part of my plan to do such. Because what I think the market's going to do, I can't tell you how many times that we've been up like this. Price action is moving higher, moving higher, moving higher. I go short and it rejects. And it just starts moving. And then when it starts moving, there's no other place to get in for the short side at the edge. That's the whole key, right? If I was scalping, if I was trying to do a different perspective, I would wait for more confirmation. I would wait for another area. I would switch my bias to a long, but I'm not switching my bias to a long until we break out of this area, pull back, move back up again, and this right here becomes my edge, anticipating this high to break. And now we're breaking out. And now we have a potential false breakout. Because if we close back down on this range again, this is just potential rejection up here, not a breakout to the upside. And if you try to go long in here and anticipate the breakout, how many times do those breakouts fail? Just not worthwhile for me to trade those types of trades. And I just don't. I stay out of those. Doesn't mean I want to short this now, but it also doesn't mean that I want to go long off of the breakout itself. Not yet. But what I do like though is my auction here. We're trying to break down. We can't. The sellers are there, right? The buyers are there. Now, that's a reason to go long because it's not a breakout. It's not VWAP. Look what the buyers and sellers are doing. You're testing the area which was once resistance that I went off of that's now support. Look at your buyers coming into these highs in here. 173, 58, 84. Look at the sellers. The sellers are drying up at the low, but that doesn't mean we're going to break this high. We're here at the high volume area. We've got sellers up here. Price action's unable to get below it, but now they did. See, I didn't trade a breakout. I didn't trade VWAP. I traded the area of support and resistance and noticed where sellers dried up and got in with the buyers. And I described it as it was going. This is how I trade. But I need conditions like this where we go sideways sometimes so I can pick up inventory, because I can't pick up inventory here. Because to pick up inventory here, in order for me to be able to trade this properly, I have to be right on the position. Am I trading? I don't trade to be right. It's not about being right or wrong. I'm not all in where now I'm at the whim of I'm not at the whim of a stop. I'm not at the whim of the market. The market, I'm not telling the market you're going up here. What I'm saying is there's participants and it looks like you want to move higher. And am I going to get past this expense by scalping like I am right now? No, no, not at all. I need a position where I can enter size, but I need a range to get into in order to be able to do that. So I hope nobody feels like I'm challenging them either. And I hope nobody feels like I'm defending myself. What I'm trying to do is explain the methodology and the ideology between what I'm doing. If you're looking at a VWAP and you're looking at indicators on your chart and you're looking at that type of information, what I'm doing is so different from what it is that you're doing that we can't have the same conversation because you're talking about day and I'm talking about night. You're talking about what the color of purple smells like. And I'm talking about what the color of purple looks like. Two different things. Price action's barely breaking the low right here. We've already broke out. Remember what I said? Breakout, pullback, potential long. Let's watch what happens at this low. Look at the sellers. The sellers are completely drying up in this area. Completely drying up in this area. Does that mean that they're not going to go down anymore? No. But for a continuation play to the breakout, not a bad area to enter. Can sellers get more aggressive down here? Sure. Did they? Yeah, exactly. But again, this is an area. I'm not trying to pinpoint targets and saying, okay, this is my stop. Because quite frankly, doing what I'm doing, most of the time you can do it without a stop. You don't even need a stop. And there was my entry for a long again right there to add into the position, and I missed it. It was right there. When we came down and we tested this support again, and the buyers stepped in here, I should have been long. I just lost focus there for a second and missed that entry. But if you're looking and you're watching my analysis and watching what it is that I am doing, you will see exactly what it is that I'm talking about. Price action coming down, sellers not getting aggressive here at these lows, buyers stepping in up through this area, low volume, lifting price. You get the buyers here, there's your long. And then you put your first target, at least I do, right before these highs up here. I like to put them before this high volume steps in, like right down into this area right in here, because now you're out with one, right? You have two on, you've got a runner, and now you're almost in with a break-even trade that way. Instrument name, why can't I see its name? It's right up here in the symbol, it's MNQ, so it's the micro NASDAQ. And if you're on YouTube, oh, well, because it's too high. There, right there, M and Q at the very top. It also says it right here too, because all my charts are set to the same. I'm trading the micros. I hate trading the micros, but I'm trading the micros. I'm almost tempted to say screw it to this whole idea of prop accounts and just move back into my cash account, to be quite frank with you. Can't believe I missed that entry right there. That was rude. And now we broke out of that 30-minute range, right? Broke out of the 30-minute range through here. Now we're anticipating to cycle back up into the 51 and a quarter area. Whereas at 51 and a quarter, it's actually really about the 71 area is where I'd anticipate price to go. Why 71? Value area high of your 30-minute chart. But see, the thing of it is we're in this range, we don't know what price is going to do up here. And because we're at that top of that range, for me, it just made sense to go short. And I'm willing to accept the risk. Were buyers strong in there? Yeah. Is a 30-minute chart price strong in there? Yeah, absolutely. It's still an area, and I have to trade my areas. And then if it breaks out, I can switch directions. Just like I did. And so now at this point in time, instead of being $1,100 up, now I'm $900 up. Still revenue. Price action is now coming into where the buyers stepped in here. But not a lot of buying pressure though, because you have zero here in the sellers. So really what that's showing is momentum, right? It's showing more momentum than it is actual strong buyers or sellers. And so we have momentum into the market. Price action came into that area, tested into the higher volume of these buyers over here as well, rejected, moved into a higher high. You know, it's so funny when it comes to trading, right? For whatever reason in trading, we look at expenses as like a bad thing, right? Or something that we shouldn't be having, or we need to find a way to get out of them or to not have them. But when we look at any other business, every business has expenses. If you have a business and you're the only employee and you own it and you're just the sole prop, well, guess what? Your business expenses are still your living expenses. Every single business has expenses. We can't just come in here with trading and expect all the time that we're just going to have winning trade after winning trade after winning trade. Because we're going to have expenses, because price action at times is going to move in a way that we're just not good at reading. I don't read market shifts well. I just don't. Very difficult for me to do. Is it going to start trending? Is it going to start doing is it going to start trending? Is it going to start moving sideways? Is it going to move back into value? I have no idea. I have a very difficult time reading that type of market condition. But you give me a trend, you give me balance, and I'm going to do pretty well in those days. And today is one of those days that gave us a breakout. And what is a breakout? A shift in a market condition. Very difficult days for me to trade. And to be up on $900 in a day that's difficult for me, beautiful. A lot of businesses are seasonal. They make most of their money around the holiday seasons, not during, regular times and those type of things. So they have to manage cash flow. Be the same thing if you had a trending market condition that worked really well. You have to manage your cash flow. It's the same thing. Why, when individuals have an expense trade, we have to try to explain it away and figure out how to get rid of it, I will never understand. You do pay for charts and commissions, etc. 100%. You pay for the electric bill to run everything because we're all running more than one monitor, right? You're paying for your time that you're sitting in front of the charts in the first place. You're paying for your internet feed. Everything that you do as a trader in that all of those contexts are all business expenses. Exactly. But so are expenses in your trades. You know, I hardly ever use the words win and loss. When have you guys heard me say, oh, yeah, okay, that was a winner. Oh, okay, well, that was a loss? Revenue and expense. Businesses, especially day trading. Why? I will never say that I could ever beat the markets. Why? Because I'm not investing. This is not investing. This is not a return, or even a return on investment. ROI doesn't make sense as a trader. None of that stuff makes sense. Why? Because this is a business, not investing. Two completely different concepts. If we don't separate those two things out, we're never going to see trading for what it actually is. ROI on an investment, 100%. ROI on a trading methodology, absolutely not. It makes zero sense to have that. Expectancy, sure. Yes. ROI, no. Not even a little bit. Even when individuals talk about, you know, their R to R, risk reward ratio, right? To me, that makes zero sense as well. To me, it's kind of a oh, look at me stat, right? And this is why. Because when you have a risk reward ratio, right, what you're looking at is your expenses and your revenue. Beautiful. You want your revenue to be more than your expenses, most definitely. But use your percentage to calculate your expectancy, not your risk reward. Because your risk reward, you can still be underwater because it only takes one trade that you didn't follow your risk reward plan, and now your whole risk reward is shot. Where you did that with expectancy, your expectancy is going to go down, but you know what caused that in the context of the expectancy, and you can fix that. This long-term area all over again, but I don't have an auction up here. Don't have buyers and sellers getting aggressive. I need to wait. Trading is about being consistent and how you look at price. No different than regular business, and you're consistent in whatever your market is. I don't look at it as I missed a trade. That's somebody else's opportunity. That bar went and I wasn't in it. Beautiful. That's somebody else's opportunity. I need to be in my opportunities for my reasons. No different than you need to be in your opportunities for your reasons. In this time frame, I haven't traded this time frame since sometime in 2019. You need to know the code name of that chart. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's the code name. I'm like a diaper, right? Full of shit and all over your ass. 100%. It's a micro. I'm trading the micros, and the reason why I'm trading the micros is for those individuals that are in prop accounts. What I'm really trying to show is this, okay? I'm really trying to demonstrate that this style of trading can be done no matter what your intention is. The Human Performance Lab, The reason why the Human Performance Lab exists is for me to demonstrate. Demonstrate what? One, that I can be on the court, actively participating in my life. Because if I'm not on the court actively participating on my life, what's actively participating for me? My habits. And I will tell you guys right now, my habitual part of me is the worst trader in the world. I'll let that individual on the court and trade for me. I'll have 100 expense trades in a row without having a single profitable trade. That mother, it sucks at trading. Completely sucks at trading because habitually the way that I see things and the way that I view things because of my past, right? I have a fear of failure. And that fear of failure, I look at the markets and this happens right here. And that individual, the habitual, the thoughts in my heads immediately go to, oh my God, I just missed out on this trade. I just missed out on this. What happens if this continues to go? I'm short. Well, now I'm short at the bottom of the range, and what's going to happen? The market's going to go up. That part of me that fears that failure is so strong. And this environment triggers that. But my work is not to be a trader here. My work is not to do this in the context of trading. My work is to demonstrate this process to individuals so they can see it real time, play out. There's going to be times where I'm tired right now, extremely tired. There's a good chance that my habitual processes are part of the process right now, and I got into this position because of that. I don't know for sure because I'm still doing a pretty good job by entering in positions here, right? But it can mess with my perception a little bit. The reason why I call it the Human Performance Lab, and I enter the lab is to do science experiments. Science experiments to show that you can be on the court. Conscious participation can act. And when it does, you can align your actions to your intention. And when that happens, your reality starts to shift. You start to move into a life that you want to live instead of a life that you feel stuck in because your life is being created by your habitual patterns, not conscious participation. That's what this is all about. Trading is just a demonstration. It's just the lab itself. Here, in an area of a long term, price action closed around its low, pulled back into the high volume area through here. Sellers get strong in this area, should be short, and I'm not. It's a demonstration. And this is why at 2 p.m. I practice. Why? Because I replay the data. I watch. I see what I did. I see what I did wrong. I see what I needed to do better. Because it's going to allow me to mark the patterns in my brain that hold the habitual patterns, what they call neuroplasticity in neuroscience. It marks it for change. Because it takes focus, urgency, action, and sleep to change the brain after about the age of 25. Before then, the environment will change it for you. But around 25, the predictive machine that we call the central nervous system, guess what? It's already set. And it doesn't change unless we actively do something and participate in its ability to change. Doesn't matter what your intention is. If you can bring focus on your intention with a state of urgency, what's urgency? Right now. Bringing it into this moment and allowing that focus and the urgency of this moment of that action, the need to act, to bring your action into the present moment. What is the present moment? This is all the past. This is all the future. It's blank. The present moment exists right now. This moment. What are you going to do with it? What do you do with this moment? And there's two things that can determine what you're going to do. Your habitual patterns or conscious participation? Which one are you going to allow to play the game of your life? That's the question. That's what I'm here. That's why I'm doing this. To demonstrate that at the live edge and something that I'm very passionate about, trading. Why that trade there? Just to do it basically to see what happens. I saw sellers getting involved here in this area right here, knowing rotation is coming into the market, and we didn't break the low. I really just kind of wanted to test where I'm at right now internally. Because like I said, I'm pretty tired right now, and I'm a little worked up at the moment, right? You know, how is it that an individual comes into the limelight and puts themselves into this type of environment? And what happens the moment they do something? Their action is critiqued. And what causes that? Because we're conformed to the patterns of this world, and this world is conformed to the patterns of judgment. And we judge everything through our perception of what we see as right or wrong. And we judge everything through that pattern. I forgot the trading view, giving delayed 10 minutes candles and looking at the prices, comparing both ups and mine until now. TV, that's awesome. Thank you. I needed that. You know what, though? That's going to be very good, because what you can do now is, knowing that you're 10 minutes late, right? Price action's moving someplace, oh, I don't know, up here. Now price action's down here. You might as well short, knowing it's going to be 25 at 25 10 minutes from now. That's well played, sir. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I needed that. In my viewpoint, the world needs more compassion than more judgment. And I should stay out of this market right now. And I don't really care. I'm going to get back into it anyhow. I'm still trading off of the highs up here. I wasn't able to get into this area over here. We've got the rejection above us. We got price action coming back through these areas of this little participation of buyers and sellers. Sellers getting a little bit more aggressive into this area, knowing full well that buyers are still in control of this market today. And we've got to be cognizant of that. But what we don't see at the moment is buyers making higher highs and higher lows. And so we can be in short-term swings to the downside. What's up, TV? And now I'm going to trade this like I normally trade when I'm not live. And I'm not worried about my actions being scrutinized, because I am a lot when I'm live, right? Because you expect that from other individuals. And so right now, I'm going to trade this like I do when I'm offline. And now all of a sudden you guys see that I'm up $1,000. You guys, well, how did he do that? Well, let me demonstrate that. I don't know if this market's going to participate in that because I don't know this market condition very well. I don't know if the afternoons is more rotational. Does it continue the moves from the morning? I don't know. I don't usually pay attention much to what they call the power hour. I'm usually done trading by now because I've already made my money. But the reason why I'm looking long here, price action barely broke these lows here on much lower selling volume than over here, and you get buyers stepping in here. But the way that this bar closed over here, down towards its low, I don't like this anymore for the long side at all. I'm anticipating price action to come back down into here, sellers to get aggressive, and we're going to have another push down. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take a short. And I'm going to keep trading like this for the next 22 minutes. And we're going to see what my count value is at the end of it. And I'm not even paying attention to it right now. I'm just trading. Bro, yeah, master your entries. Exactly. That's just it right there, right? Master what you see in your charts. Master your own perception. That's what creates the universe. Think about it. What would happen right now if all of your senses just shut off? What would you perceive about the world? You can't hear, you can't see, you can't smell, you can't taste. What would the world be like? It would just be black. That's it. Your mind will still be running because you have memories, but it'll be black. But the information is still there. So what's the universe? Information. But the universe is infinite information. Why? Because our senses can only perceive so much of the spectrum of information. Look at light, for example. The light spectrum is like this long. We can only see about this much of it. All of that information exists. We only know of that much or this much because we have instruments that's able to see that, but nothing else. So think about what the universe really is if we could perceive more information or different information than we're able to. The universe would look, our whole reality would look completely different than it does right now because that information is different. Well, think about it. If your habitual processes are controlling your perception right now, you're going to see price action completely differently than if conscious participation is online because it changes the way you perceive information. That's why trading is a lifestyle. You need a lifestyle to support your perception of what you see. Because if not, your lifestyle can shift what you see in the charts. And then you wonder why you have a drawdown. And then you think it's your methodology. So you go and you change your methodology. And you're changing your methodology so much that you can't even spend enough time to realize what works and what doesn't because you're constantly making changes. When it's actually the driver of your perception that's changing. And what's happening right now? We've got a buyer that steps into the market down here. Price action's moving higher and not lower. And I'm in a short. Beautiful. What do I do if I'm in a short? And I don't want to take an expense. I stop trading and I go into asset management. You guys want to see this? We're going to add one. Price action is making other highs over here. I have this area of resistance. I'm going to add another one. Price action is still going up. Beautiful. Not quite far enough for me to add another one. Doesn't make a lot of sense for me to move my entry point at this point in time closer to price. Just wait, because I have limited inventory. I can't do this the whole time, right? And limited inventory also means too, the amount of money that we have in our account. not just the number of contracts that we can trade based upon what a prop firm tells us we can trade. It's not just about size, it's about risk, total risk, and the amount of size available to us. This is asset management. This isn't trading. This is what asset managers do. So when you guys talk about big money, this is what the big money is doing. They don't put stops in. They don't care. They have plenty of funds that they're able to asset dollar cost average themselves into the market, and the expense isn't their own. And so they don't care. They don't run stops like we do. They don't need to because they're doing something completely different. In trading, we have to be right. Asset managers don't even think about it in those terms. Their perception is completely different. So right now, I don't have a trader's hat on. I have an asset manager's hat on. I want to get out of this with as much of a break-even trade as I possibly can. If I had to stop up here, maybe it's already hit, but I don't care. Let it run up. Let it go all the way up here. I don't really care. Just watch this. I've got 15 minutes to demonstrate this. And I have inventory of 50 lots. A lag at entries? Right now, yeah, I would say that I'm lagging at entries, most definitely. Get me into the US market at the open and tell me that I lag at entries. Go look at my trades in Discord this morning and tell me that I lag at entries. Look at this trade back here and tell me that entering here that I lagged at entries on a short. Not challenge you, questioning your definition that you've applied to me. Where can you learn all this? Just here in these sessions when I'm live from 9:40 to 10:40 in the Discord. Type exclamation mark Discord. So shift 1 Discord and go to Discord. I also have training videos on there too, like where to draw volume profiles and those type of things, right? All of that's in there, and everything else I just do at the live edge of the market, right here in front of everybody, right? Not hiding anything, showing the worst parts of my trading, showing the best parts of my trading, showing how I practice to make my trading even that much better, to develop myself as a trader that I want to be. And we should always be developing ourselves into the trader that we want to be, because none of us are perfect. None of us trade exactly the way that we want to at all times. None of us do. Right now, I'm waiting for this high to be popped. That's why I cancel this, because I'm going to add more contract. There's no sense of having a profit target in if I'm just going to be adding more contracts. Why? Because I'm reading order flow here, and it's telling me that there's a higher probability that it's going to go up right now than down. I'm not saying that it's going to go up. I'm saying the probabilities are that it's going to go up. And I don't have a course. I don't charge anything for any of this. I don't do any of that stuff. This is all just me coming in here and doing what I normally do and just doing it in front of you guys, and hopefully some of it you guys find value in. But that's what asset managers do. Link to Discord. And I also wanted to ask, what is RTM strategy, reading the market? So reading the market is so here for Discord. Type this in to chat. Exclamation mark Discord. And I'll give you the link. Reading the market. I read the market based upon auction market theory. And so this is a daily perspective of volume profiling, okay? And this is all based off of volume. So it's volume at price and then time, right? But it's volume and price, okay? And so when price action spends time around an area, it rotates and it gains volume. And when price doesn't trade time around an area, there's rejection. All right. And so price action is constantly moving in and out of areas of value. And what's value? Balance. What's balance? What most people call chop. Okay. That's how the market behaves. And so what we want to do is find areas where we would expect price action to, one, be in value, where we can buy lows and sell highs and buy lows. Imbalanced, where we can buy or sell pullbacks of a trend. And then we have what's called a market shift, when the market shifts between trading in value and trading a trend. And in that shift, the market's either going to move in a very tight range sideways, move back into old value, or start trending in the direction of the breakout. And so those are the market conditions that we can be in. Most people will say that, it should go up, down, or sideways. Okay. There's really four, because that market shift is extremely important. Because in that market shift, you don't know if it's going to go up. You don't know if it's going to go back down into value. And you don't know if it's going to go sideways. And so if we can recognize those market shifts, then we can come into lower time frame charts, such as a 30-minute, and we can create areas of value based upon those shifts. And then from that perspective, we can say, from this area above value area high, inside this range of value, or this low volume node, I can expect rejection and price action to move lower on the longer time frame. And when we have that perspective, we can come in here to the short time frame chart, and we can say, okay, now I'm going to look for entries in order flow in the view of that longer time frame area. And that's how I trade. I see an order flow trader. I subscribe. I like the stream. Friends, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Um, I've been trading order flow since 2013. Well, really, I started in 2008 with just which is time and sales, trading stocks, event-driven stocks, news-driven, stocks at the open. I did that from 2008 to 2010. Then 2012, footprint charts started to come online. And then 2013, I really started to learn auction market theory. And I started to trade auction market theory in 2014, real time, live, until about December of 2019. Then I retired from trading, and I just came out of retirement in April of this year. So I'm a little rusty. I have some things that I need to work on, but that's what these afternoon sessions are for me to practice, for me to teach, for me to be able to show that, for me to also develop as a trader, the Human Performance Lab, go to the lab, right? Run science experiments based upon my theory of auction market theory and make my actions in the market better through that practice and alignment to the theory. By changing the theory, if the lab shows the science experiments we run show that the theory is broken, or change the entry criteria or the reasons for entry or the money management. And so that's the reading of the market. The reading of the market I don't do here. The reading of the market I do over here. And everything I do in my short-term chart is all based upon what's happening and the longer time frame perspective. I was looking short up here, and I took a couple of expense trades looking for a short in this area. Price action broke out. I took a long in this area on the breakout, anticipating us to come back up to this level. And then I was looking for shorts in this area. I didn't enter up here on the top of this one because I didn't have participants on both sides of the market. I missed my entry here because I was talking for this pullback. And then I got in, I think down in here, which was way late, right? The market started to move against me. Then somebody else was talking to me. I'm like, okay, fine. We'll take the stop out of the equation. We're going to go into asset management and what they do in asset management because it's completely different from trading. And you scale yourself into the position until you're able to get out with a break-even trade. And then that short ended up going. And everybody in here has been talking about all day today, all session, right? That it's going to be long, it's going to be long, it's going to be long, it's going to be long. We're right back down into the same area again and below from where I was picking up shorts in the first place today. Was I a little early to those? Sure. But I managed my risk. I managed my risk extremely well. Extremely well. And then it finally broke. Thanks for the explanation, man. You seem very educated and articulated about your work. Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, I took my first trade in 98. I've been around, right? I've been trading since dinosaurs walked this earth. 98, I took my first trade, and pork bellies. And then I took my next trade in the S&P 500 after a little stint in options, the main index, because we didn't have many accounts yet, right? We didn't have the E-mini contracts. We just had the main indexes. And so I traded the S&P 500 at $250 a point. And I did that until I went to Afghanistan in 2001. And then I got out of trading from that portion. 2005, I went to a commercial investment bank, was in commercial mortgage-backed securities, went to the trading floor. And then in 2008, I was doing stocks through time and sales until 2010, when I focused on my retail only. And then in 2014, I became consistent in my trading really well through auction market theory. And I did that until 2019 when I retired. And now I'm back. How do you treat IB? I've been playing around with the idea of value areas shifting above or staying with IB to determine a break or a retrace of VWAP. I just don't have enough of a data set for it. So I don't use VWAP. The reason why I don't use VWAP is there you go. Beautiful. Thank you, Crip. You got it figured out. Well done. I'll be able to do that here in the next couple of days. I've only been streaming for a couple day or for a couple weeks now, and the technology is kind of lagging on my side. I don't have the chat up on my screen yet. It's there. It's just not working in OBS. So I've got an individual that's hopefully this week. They're supposed to be doing it last week, but they, kind of flaked out on me. But hopefully this week they'll be able to get it taken care of, and I'll have access to be able to do that. I don't use VWAP. Why? Because VWAP takes it smooths out volume through time. And anytime you use time in an indicator, that indicator becomes lagging. And now you're lagging. And so I try not to be lagging in my trading. Even though I will enter shorts down here every once in a while, which is not at the edge of the range, right? Which is lagging. But now I'm lagging. Now, though, I can fix the lag because I can make myself better. I can recognize that. I can practice it. I can say, okay, I'm making a rule. I'm only getting in at the top 1/3 of a move on a short or the bottom 1/3 at the bottom. And I only get in longs down here now and shorts up here. Means I'm going to be out on some other positions, but at least I'm not getting in short and I'm not getting in long. It's all about recognizing what you're doing in your trading. And then everything else I do in the short-term context here is I'm just reading where sellers and buyers are getting strong. Like we're getting some sellers strong down in here. But why, if these sellers are strong, why are we not breaking lower lows? Well, we just did. But I was anticipating lower lows because the sellers are strong. But if we didn't break those lower lows, and I'm coming over here and I'm looking at buyers stepping in, we could be absorbing sellers in that area. That's what I look at. This is how I read order flow. And like I said there, sellers are getting stronger. Why aren't we breaking the lows? Well, we did. Hey, hon, how you doing? Found it here, bro? Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Guys, I'm not perfect in my trading. I will never ever say that I'm ever perfect in my trading. I'm just here to develop my skill, and I'm here to develop my skill at the live edge in front of you all, teaching along the way for anybody else that wants to come on board with me, right? Because I don't think drawing lines from a high and a low to get other lines to tell me the percentage of the pullback, looking for a 1-to-1, 2-to-1 risk reward ratio is trading. To me, that's hoping and praying that it's going to work out. Trading to me is understanding the auction, because that's all the market is an auction. And then how do you learn to participate in the auction to achieve your intention? And whatever your intention is, it's all different for each one of us. But your intention, if you focus on your intention and you allow your intention to drive action, you're going to show up in the moment every single day, and you're going to start aligning your actions to your intention. That fulfills your intention within reality that you experience. And now you start to change your life. And now you live in the fulfillment of that changed life where there's joy, because you're doing exactly what it is that you wanted to be doing in the first place. That's what I teach. Finally, you got my name. I'm sorry, did I pronounce it wrong before? And so to me, that's trading. And if individuals want to come on board with me and develop trading with me, beautiful. I was up a little over $1,100 today in the morning sessions. I normally don't trade the afternoon sessions. I use this time to practice, not to trade at the live edge, because I usually make my money in the morning. My expectancy every day is $2,000. And most days I hit that. I had one expense day last week, and I haven't had an expense day for quite some time. Not because I'm perfect, not because I'm good at this, because I just do it. And it just happens. And if I'm aligned to my intention, it's going to happen pretty well. And if I'm not, my habitual habits are going to kick in, and those don't trade well because there I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid of doing something wrong. And what happens when you act in the context of being afraid? You're actually going to create the thing that you're afraid of, because that's what we do when the predictive engine kicks in, because it predicts our future behavior for us, and we're not in control. We're not on the court. We're observing. We're watching, like a spectator watching the World Cup and the players play. But when we actively participate in our life, we become the player. And it's a hell of a lot more fun to be a player than a spectator. You used to call me founder. Cute though. I like that name. I'm sorry, Alan. I apologize. Why did I do that? Why did I call you founder? There was something. I don't know. Huh. I don't know. I apologize. It's funny. Kinda. At least you laughed about it. Thank you for laughing. Oh goodness. I think sometimes there's just a lot going on, and my little brain can't keep up with everything happening all at once. But this session in here, I was trying to go short in here before this break. Actually up here before this break right here. And actually, no, 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 no. This already happened. So this happened. This session was in here. I was trying to go short into here, and it broke. And so then I turned around and changed my perspective because we broke out, and I had a nice little scalp to the upside. And then I didn't have the entry in here that I was looking for the short. And so I entered into the short around here, and then somebody else had a comment about my trading or whatever. And I was like, screw it. I'm going to just go ahead and delete my scalp and then show you what asset managers do. Got out of that position with a break even, and now I'm here. But if I would have stuck with that short idea, that was absolutely spot on in the context of what the market was doing and what the market did. Coming out of a test of the area for the original short in the first place. And so now what should we be anticipating price action to eventually do? Well, we're creating some higher highs in the overall context, or higher lows in the overall context of current value. Okay, so we can see another higher low in here. But price action being in value is rotational. I would always anticipate it to come down here into value area high. But we are rotating higher lows and higher highs in this overall area of value. Price action could find some support in here. Price action could find some support down into this area before this low and move back up again. And if it keeps doing that, eventually we're going to come back and test these highs. And what will help guide us in all of that information? Yeah, what do you got, Ahan? What would you like to share? Please, definitely, anything. The rotations here will help guide us in what the market is doing. Friday, right? We didn't even get into the low. We found support here at VPOC, and price action traded higher. And now price action is coming off of value area high, and we're trading back down into Friday's session high of the Asian, London, US session. In terms of the US session, price action came down through the range of Friday's US short session. And now we've come back up again. And now off of value area high, we're trading back down here near value area low at 29,923. And so I'd anticipate 23 to be tested. Why? Because price action typically stays rotational, testing value area high, value area low. And that's the overall market condition. That's what I'm trading around. I blew up my Apex, which I literally bought because of overtrade. I don't know, man. How could I stop this bad habit of not stopping and just closing for the day? Gerpol, that's a habit of yours, and the market is triggering that. How do you stop it? One, you recognize it. Kudos to you. Seriously, well done. That's the first step. When you can recognize it, and no, not only did you recognize it, but you owned it. And in that owning it, you shared it publicly. And I really want to stress how powerful that is for you. It doesn't change the fact that you're still doing it, but it does lead to the solution. And so for me, what works for me in that context is now I create a rule for myself. And I put that rule in front of me. And when I go to trade, I read that rule consistently. And in my mind, I start to notice all of the things that are happening inside of me that still want me to trade to break that rule. And what I do is, if I'm aware of those things that are happening inside of me, I can now, I'm witnessing them. And if I'm witnessing them, I'm not them. Therefore, I can see them for what they are. They're thoughts, they're emotions that drive action, that don't have to drive the action anymore. I can literally speak to them and say, no, we're not doing that. We're following this rule anyhow. We're following this rule instead. And pretty soon what happens is the negativity that you feel, or the drive to take the overtrading action, starts to subside. It subsides because it starts to listen to your rule and what you're going to do, because you're starting to show trust in yourself, because you're able to follow that rule. Those tendencies aren't as strong as they once were, and you start to replace them with you start to replace them with the activity that you want to do, which is not overtrading. That's how I start to develop myself. And I love trading for this, because trading puts you into this moment right now in the environment that makes you change that. And when you change it in your trading, you're going to see all the places that you do that and the other areas in your life that leads you into behavior that doesn't create the results that you want to. And now your life starts to become aligned to the trust in yourself to follow your rules and not break them. So I hope that helps. TV, well done. Yeah, I mean, 29877. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's all reasons to be bearish in different places in different areas. Show me a chart of what you're looking at there in the 29887. And just because I'm taking a short and a scalp doesn't mean that I'm bearish to the downside. We have to remember, we're in an uptrending market right now. We're in an uptrending market trading in value. We're still in an uptrend, because trading value doesn't break a trend. So technically, if we're only going to be trend traders or going in direction of the trend, we should only be taking longs ever. We should never be taking shorts in these markets. But there's a lot of movement that can be done, a lot of revenue that can be made on the short side and the long side. So now how do we structure that idea into one plan? Now, let me get back to you, Ahan. You remember that I told you about my girlfriend in last live? Yeah, we're breaking up. We can't get married because our core values won't align. We love each other a lot, but we have to take a step back. Yeah, I want to have Islamic household. I don't want her to have male friends, as it is not allowed in Islam. I want her to follow my lead, to follow the system of our religion. She is a Muslim, but she don't want to believe on God, or she doesn't want to believe or rely on God. Okay. And we decided that although we love each other, but we can't get married because our core values don't align and we will fight a lot. I now feel so much depressed because we can't be together, but still love each other. And that's grief, right? It's the grief of the loss of the person that you put your love into. And you can't reciprocate that because of the situations that are keeping you from being apart. And that sucks. And that's just something that unfortunately we have to be in. We have to experience ourselves. It's called heartbreak. It's called grief. It's called all sorts of stuff. And it's absolutely terrible and it's no fun. And I am so sorry that you're experiencing that. I'm I'm honored that you chose me to tell that story to. And I hold myself accountable and responsibility to that for you because of the responsibility that you have, or because of the way that you view me that gave you the reason to tell that story. And so I'm going to word it like this. If I was telling my younger self in the context of heartbreak, I know myself. No matter what anybody told me, it's not going to help because I'm still experiencing that loss. I'm still experiencing that heartbreak. I'm still experiencing that grief and what causes the negativity in that. And knowing that, the only thing that could possibly help me in that stage would be not for somebody to come to me and talk to me about how I'm currently feeling, but to just be compassionate with where I am and recognize where I am, allowing that to be okay without trying to change it or trying to change me, where now I feel like I'm broken or I have to do something that I'm not capable of doing. And my older self thinking of that person, the only thing that I want to do for that person is to let them know I love you. I love you as a human being. I love you for the struggles that we go through as humans, knowing my own struggles in the past. And this struggle is real for you. And you already know from experience that you're going to get past it. But that doesn't mean that you're able to get past it right now. And that's okay. But it's just know that the pain and the hurt that you're going through, you're still loved. Try that on and tell me how that feels. Just shorts. I actually was up $1,100 today. You don't see that in reflection here, but if you go into the Discord under the trades, you'll see that. Um, I did that in the London session. I was up like $300 in the London session. I was up $800 in the US session today. So about $1,100 total. But when I went to go test a previous day, the number reset. And in this session here, yeah, I'm down 172. I didn't have a very good session in here today. I was late to some of my entries. As a trader, I would rate my trading today as a D. Um, just I was late to some of my trades, but I don't trade this time frame And as we all know, time frames kind of have their own personality. And you start to learn to flow with their personality. Like the London session between, like the hours of 4 and 6 or 4 and 7, right? The markets can range, right? And then move into prior direction. They're very flowing, and they'll move. They'll go into a range where you can collect nice inventory. And then usually there'll be a continuation move to the other side. Sometimes it will test the lows of the prior move that started it all, or the highs. There'll be a pullback, but a lot of times it just moves in that structure, and then it breaks and it moves. Um, and in that context, right? The US session, IB is extremely important because that's going to tell you if you're going to stay in value for the day, where you just want to trade the opposite sides of value. It's going to give you a breakout, but when it's a breakout, there's a market shift. And so once it's a market shift, you have to give it time. And that's what I did this morning really well in the US session, is I gave that time. And in that time, I turned around and was able to get some pretty good trades. I'm still looking at the afternoon session as that breakout and that market shift. So I'm a little bit slower to act to the market because of that. But you give me a day that's not a market shift, right? And I'm going to be back spot on again. Right. So it's funny because people in here are like, well, you're late to your trades, or you're doing this, you're doing that. And you're 100% correct. But how many times have I said I don't trade market shifts well, and today's market condition is a market shift? So you're judging my trading on the hardest type or style of day for me to trade. Of course I'm going to struggle in a day like this. 100%. But when somebody is actively participating in the present moment, that's not the time to critique that individual. No different than Ehan having his issues right now and what he's dealing with, and the depression and the heartbreak. He doesn't need to hear, greener pastures on the other side, there's going to be another woman on the other side. He's dealing with the loss that he's dealing with right now. That loss needs to be recognized. That loss needs to be understood as it's real to him. And then he needs to be reminded that even though he may not be able to experience it right now, but he's still loved for the person that he is. There's going to be a breakout in ES. I don't know. We can look over at the ES and see. And let's see what you had to say. I'm sorry, I'm not ignoring you. I tried to forget her, but our memories, our photos, and she'd bring me, asking about me, makes me cry, that how much she loves me, but we can't be together because of our core values and lifestyle. Well, of course, you're never going to forget her. It sounds like she's kind of your first love. You're never going to forget her. I still remember my first love. I still think of her time to time. The heartbreak isn't there, right? We grow out of the heartbreak, but that's growth. That takes time. That takes a lot of stuff to get through that. Now I look back at it as very, very fond memories, but we don't have that experience when we're young because we don't have those fond memories. But my divorce took me 3 years and almost dying before I turned around and decided to climb out of that hole. It was not about the fish. I don't want fish. I want pure love, and I don't want it from multiple women. I want it from one. And that's where religious beliefs come into play, right? And the beliefs at our core, in the context of, there's just one. And that's where it's not about challenging a belief. It's about being respectful of that belief and where somebody is in the context of their own beliefs. Because if I was born in the Middle East, for example, India, Iran, Kuwait, any of these countries, I would have a very different core belief system than I have today because that culture would have shaped me. I didn't feel love my whole life. I struggled a lot. I am still struggling. My father died in 2011, but she is the one who chose to love me. There's also another aspect there, Aeon. Okay? Allah loves you. And there's also another core. How can you truly love another unless you love yourself first? But if you truly love her and she does too, there wouldn't be a fight. That's the difference between unconditional and conditional love. I'm going to love you until, I'm going to love you unless. And when the conditions come in, the conditions break down the love, the unconditional love, and makes it conditional. First love is always painful. Later, we get used to it. Prof. I can't disagree, my friend. I can't disagree. But that might not be the right message we want to share right now. um, skip religion, man. Yeah, no, absolutely. And no, in no way. I'm not religious at all by any stretch of the imagination, but other people are, and it's their religion that I respect, not to skip, respect, and to have the compassion to come from their understanding, not my own in the context of their belief system. Skip religion, man, just go for her. Yeah, TV, I would agree with that too. From a Western civilization cultural conditioning, most definitely. But when you have the family that's shaped within the religion, the culture that's shaped within the religion, that's so difficult to do. And this is where perception comes in. We can only understand it in our own perception. I can't understand it on the other side myself, but I can be compassionate to the idea. I really don't understand Muslim guys can have 4 women at a time, but women can't even have a male friend or wear proper dress. I'm proud. Prath, I love you, man. Don't change, please. You're amazing. I love it. But guys, this is how we work within trading in our lives. And look at this. This is our we have a brother in chat right now that's in the thick of things that we're in the lab with running a science experiment, trying to give him words of encouragement to help him out in a tough time. And how do we truly do that for an individual that comes from a different culture, a different background, a different belief system, and make it about him? Because he's the one that's hurting. Males allow 4 marriages because to support the widow and women who need support, and without the permission of first wife, we can't do it. Even we are not allowed to do 4. It's specific. Yeah, I mean, and a lot of and Aeon, tell me if I'm wrong. Okay, please tell me if I'm wrong. Okay, in this context, right? But a lot of times with those extra wives and stuff, a lot of them are widowed or something along those lines, and the women aren't in your culture designed to be able to take care of themselves. It's a man. And so a married man that has things put together will take on another woman in that context to provide them the support so they're not left out on their own. Am I incorrect on that? I'm not saying that's true. I'm saying that that's coming from my understanding, but I'm not saying my understanding is right. But I believe that that's kind of where it stems from. Would you agree? And in Islam, there is maram and non-maram. Women is not allowed to have male friends because it will make the husband jealous and lose the trust. To protect the family system, women is not allowed. Yeah, because you break the trust, you break the communication, you break the communication, you break the respect, and you lose those three things. There's no love anymore. It's a strict rule set, but the rule set is there for a reason. Why widows can marry someone who is not having a wife. Um, I'm not saying that they can't, Prath. But you take an individual that doesn't have a wife in that culture, a lot of times they don't have the things put together enough for a family to accept that man as a husband for their daughter. Again, I'm I'm assuming some things. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouths or talk about a religion or a society in the wrong way. So, Ahan, please correct anything that I'm saying. But in my viewpoint, my experience, and what my current understanding, that's kind of part of it in that context. It's and a lot of it is also talked about in the Abraham um context. In every religion there are a set of rules, and girls don't allow it nowadays in Islam because they get influenced by Western media and don't realize that it's religion. So men allowed to have female friends, it won't be make wife jealous. Crap, you're amazing. You and I need to have a conversation, Prath, at some point in time. Are you long right now, TV? Did you go long? Is that what you're saying? Are we bringing this back to trading now? Go for the long? Go for the long shot, right? Exactly. Emancipate yourself. Go to another country. Take her with you. Make her your own. Hit her on a club like they did with the caveman, right? Drag her across the river, make her yours. There's a guy I know in YouTube that uses he uses only 915 EMA and have crazy returns, and he done it on live. Yeah, absolutely. Just short there, there's every indicator that's ever been created works. It wouldn't have been created if it doesn't work, right? And those types of indicators work really well in trending markets. And what have we been in now for quite some time? Trending market conditions. They also work well in wider ranged markets. And what have we had for a while? High volatility. Now you take the high volatility, you take the trend out of the equation, and those type of methodologies stop working. I know you are, Prath, and that's why I'm laughing with you, and not at the expense of Ahan at all, and not to belittle him or anything that's going on, right? It's multiple conversations happening at the same time, and allowing those conversations to maturate within a chat without telling anybody that they're wrong for what they have to say. Okay, forget about it. Let's talk something else. And why don't we do this? If you don't mind, Ahan, why don't we do this? If you don't mind, type this in to chat. Okay? Exclamation mark Discord. Okay? Come into Discord. DM me. If you would like to talk away from the outer noise, that's going to be our best bet. And I will absolutely sit down and just listen to you and really get to understand your story. Okay? Absolutely. Yeah. I'll be off stream here probably the next half an hour, and we can let me get some water, and then we can sit down and do that. But go ahead and DM me, and then I'll let you know that I'm there. About 5 p.m. New York time too late for you? It's about 11 your time. Would you prefer to do it at a different time? Um, he doubled his account multiple time in a week. How he do that? You views according to your experience. This just makes me very jealous. The only guy I am so jealous of. Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? Watch him. And if he's doing that, watch him and see how he's doing it and what he's doing and how he's interpreting the crosses and how he's using them. Because I would probably guarantee that he's not working off of crosses. He's doing something else, probably a directional off of the 15, allowing the 9 to come off into a different direction, and possibly not even letting them come back and match. He's taking the lag out of the indicator some way. And that's how I would suggest that he's doing it. You know, I wish last month that I would have been live when I had $15,000, $16,000 days. I had 2 of them in 1 week. I was up $15,000 one day and I was up $16,000 another, trading 1 mini contract. You know, it can happen. I have multiple $8,000 days. Yeah, directional and 4-hour mix. Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like too that he's not just doing day trading, he's also doing swing trading. Is that correct? He's holding some things overnight? If he's using a 4-hour chart? It's 1:32 right now in Pakistan. Yeah, so that's too late for you. On tomorrow morning, tomorrow morning, it's 1 o'clock. So if it's 1:30, it's 4 here, we're 7 hours. 11 a.m. 11 a.m. for you tomorrow. Is that will that work for you? Yeah, exactly. And so when you put swing trading, day trading, position trading all together, and you're doing all of that all at one time, yeah, you're going to catch larger moves. It's just going to make more money, 100%. You know, but that's the key, right? You got to develop that into yourself. Um, and if you want to, yeah, we can do that. If you're fine with 2 o'clock, 2 a.m. your time, we can absolutely sit down and talk tonight. Absolutely. Um, just let me know. Um, 90% scalp, 10% in swing. Okay, yeah. Um, when you're scalping, you can scalp off of a 30-minute time frame. You can scalp off of a 2-minute time frame, 5-minute, 15-minute, 10-minute, all of these different time frames. What you need to do is find a time frame that works for you. Just shorts. This is something that I've noticed with you. You want to be able to, in my viewpoint, I would say one of your goals is to make life-changing money consistently in the market. Would you agree with that statement? Let's see. ES. Let's just bring the ES real quick. I haven't looked at the ES forever. This used to be my market. I used to only trade the ES. I love the ES. Oh, geez. That's not going to be helpful. Well, let's adjust this real quick because that's ridiculous. Um, let's see, it's at 80 right now. I need to remember that. 80, 80, 80, 80, 80. Let's just do this. 200 still not enough. That means that we've got a lot of volume in this market. A lot. More than what we used to have, even. As I haven't looked at this market in a long time. So if 200's not enough, let's just jump it up to 500. Let's just get crazy with it. Okay, there's nothing in 500. So let's bring it down to 300 and just see where we're at 300. Want to learn? Yeah. Wanted to learn A to Z, 0 to 9. Yes. My suggestion is to learn how to scalp. Because if you can learn how to scalp, you can apply that technique to any trade management structure that you can possibly imagine. Oh yeah, no, no, no. And look, Bryant, some individuals are like, "Oh, well, if it's all about the money, it's this and that." No, let it be about the money. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Let it be about the money. If money drives somebody, there's nothing wrong with that. Money is not the root of all evil by any stretch of the imagination. That is so not true. The love of money could be if you wanted to, but even at that, what does that mean? You're saying that the rationing device is is the evil thing. No, not by any stretch of the imagination, because it's material, and anything in the material world is empty and meaningless because we're the only ones that can put meaning or emptiness into anything that's material. So yeah, no, if it's about the money, it's about the money. Make it about the money. Who cares? Own that. Be with that. Let that be your reason. And don't let anybody take that away from you. But you also have a passion, and I know you have a passion for it because you study so much. The individuals that just want it, they just come in here and they just try to do everything possibly can in order to be able to get it. And it doesn't work that way. Let me get this over to a higher time frame and take a look at it. You expected earlier people say that you were rude due to your knowledge? No, no, I wouldn't say that you were rude at all. I would say that you have a drive for knowledge. And when you come across talking to people, you come across in a way that shows that you have a thirst for knowledge, but at the same time, you show your knowledge. And by showing that knowledge, especially with individuals that are less knowledgeable, they can have a tendency to define you a particular way because of that. But take the word arrogant. If somebody is going to depict another person as being arrogant, okay? Um, who's defining that word towards somebody else? They're defining it towards you. That's their definition. You don't have to choose to put it on. I'm expecting the market to continue to drop just because of the current where we're at in the current market condition, right? I mean, look at the daily. Here's the ES, okay? ES expanded off of value area high nicely. Where did it come to? Low volume node. What should you expect in the context of a low volume node? Price action to move down, to reject out of this area. And where would you expect price action to reject to? Rude. The next high volume area in here. And if price action moves through that, where do you expect it to go? Into the next low volume area. What would you expect it to do there? Either bounce and start moving higher or moving lower. Because we're in unfair highs and it's coming down, we could find support in here. But yeah, I'm expecting the markets to drop a bit in the overnights. Most definitely. I would expect price action to come someplace in here at least in the overnights. 75, 90, 75, 94, somewhere right around in there, the 90s. And then if price action gets through there, I'd expect 85s, possibly 80s. See what happens. We never know what price is going to do. All we can do is act on what we think price is doing. That's it. And there's as many reasons to analyze that as there are people in the world. That's why we can all see something different. And why nobody is right. The only thing that's right is your ability to trade your own conviction of what you perceive that the markets are telling you. And if you can do that, you're following your rules. And if you can follow your rules, you can make adjustments as necessary. And those adjustments will shape your perception. But as long as your current perception is not aligned to profitability and you allow your current perception to drive your actions, you're always going to struggle in your trading because it's your perception that's off. It's your habits that are off. No different than the individual talking in here about, breaking their rules and over trading. Well, kudos to you. You recognize that. A round of applause, seriously. Because that's amazing. And you spoke it. You owned it. Now you can take authority over it. It's when we try to hide it. Oh no, I didn't overtrade today. I mean, we just kept on going into areas and yeah, I was supposed to trade that. And you might do that on winning days. This is why winning days are so difficult sometimes, because we hide our own issues from ourselves because of the success that we just experienced. This is the psychology of trading, but this isn't the psychology of trading. This is the psychology of life, my friends. It just shows up in trading. Why? Because trading forces us to be in the moment, where the results are immediate. And those results make us question what exactly it is that we're doing because they're immediate results. We don't have time to create a story around it. Do I live alone? No, I don't live alone. I live with my fiance and her 2 kids. What do I do after stream usually? Sleep. I did watch the World Cup last night. And now I'm really tired because of that. My job is here right now. I'm building something. I'm doing something very intentional. And we've given me the time to be able to do it. And that's something that we've done together. And I'm very grateful. I am very grateful for her understanding. I'm very grateful for my understanding in that. And this is what I'm doing because this is what I love doing. This is my passion, and this is what I want to be doing for the rest of my life. I do have a job, a 9 to 5, that I do work. That's one of the reasons why that is the reason why I only trade from 9:40 to 10:40. And my goal is to replace that income through the trading here in the next few weeks to get that going. So I have more time to devote here. And then I have more time to devote to the family. But I'm accessible. It's who I was waving at a little while ago in the window. I'm a very calculated individual. I don't do too many things, just I'm very spontaneous at times. And it looked like that I would do things on the whim, but it's because I can plan things so quickly in my mind. And the second the plan is there, it's all over. I just take action. I just do it. I just move. Because moving is the only thing that creates something. You can think about planting a garden all you want to. You can visualize it, you can think about it, you can do all the magical, wonderful things in your mind. But unless you grab the tools to dig the dirt, to take care of the dirt, to plant the seeds, to make sure it has the water, to nurture whatever it is that you're growing. It's action. The action has to follow. And if you're not taking action aligned to your intention, you're still taking action. You're just unconsciously taking action because the subconscious is doing it for you, not the conscious. That's the difference. And if you want something in your life, you have an intention, you only have it, you only have that intention, you only want it because you don't have it in your life. Think about it. If you want an ice cream cone and you go get an ice cream cone, when you're eating the ice cream cone, do you want the ice cream cone? No, because you're experiencing the ice cream cone and you're having fun with the ice cream cone and you're enjoying it and you're not thinking about wanting one. You only want something when you don't have it. And when you don't have it, you want it. So if you want to be a profitable trader, it means that you're not a profitable trader yet. But that doesn't mean that you can't develop into one. But you can't develop into one through the subconscious processes that are keeping you from doing it. You have to consciously come online and take new action. Do something new. If not, you're only going to grow the same garden you've always grown. Love is no different. You love a woman that you can't be with, you love a woman that you can't be with. You're creating heartache for yourself out of the situation that is already true. Sometimes we can't control who we love. But it is what it is. IFVG between 29845, 29818 might short up to that area. Yeah, absolutely. If we go back to, let's just go to the NASDAQ. I do like the minis so much better than the micros, but I need to trade the micros because that's what this community that I'm attracting needs. And so it's not about me. I need to adjust to that since I made this part of my intention. And for me to hold on to anything else, I'm not doing the community that I am attracting any good whatsoever. So let's look at the 29818 area, okay? Just from a different perspective. Now, you're already looking at it your own. This isn't for you. This is just for me to get an understanding. So if we look at the 850, 800, right? The 818, this is what I would say about the 818. The 818 is right around value area low. What do I expect from value area low? I expect price action to come into to find a low volume node, reject, and move back into higher value. That's my expectation from this area. Now, we all have different perceptions, but that's my perception on this area. Price action comes down into the 818 area, finds this area of low volume below it, rejects, moves back up to test value area high, VPOC, possibly value area high of current range. How many months did it take me to become profitable in 98? I struggled. I struggled a lot. I would make money, I would lose money. I would make money, I would lose money. I blew up multiple accounts. Multiple accounts. But at the same time, TV, if you understand that, that's why I went short up here. Because when I was going short here, we had already come off of this area. I didn't find consistency in my trading until 2014. I would make money and then I would lose money. I would make money and then I would lose money. And I was better than a break-even trader, but I was not consistent. And it took me from trading my first 98, getting out of it for a while, getting back into it, getting out of it, getting back into it, until 2014, when actually 2013, when I actually became consistent. And it took me about a year of learning auction market theory in order to get me to that level. And so the whole reason why I was looking short today was because that 30-minute was coming off, and we're coming off of value area high. I'm anticipating price action to rotate lower. The short term was telling me that we were long, right? But we're still coming into that area on the 30-minute chart that could absolutely hold. And then we came up here to this area. I just didn't get an auction up here. Or I would have been short from that high, no different than I was short. Damn it. Stupid platform. Then I was short from up here directly off of this high. Did it go very far? No, but I still got out with a break-even trade because I was short in here, almost just a few points off of this high. I really couldn't have gotten in sooner than that. Could I just get in here just off of a whim? Sure. But this is my auction. This is my resistance. I need to trade below that. I need to see sellers coming in either aggressive or we're dropping on low volume. That's my indication. And so I need to be short someplace in here. As the market's going pretty quick, I'm probably not going to get in until down here off of a slippage off of a market order, because I'm not going to come back and try to get into a limit order up here. I'm getting into a market. Why? Because I want to enter around this area. This whole area between here and here, or wherever the pullback is, I want to enter around this whole area so I can enter inventory, so I can hold size, so I can manage my position from a scalp into a day trade if the market's going to hold this area. If it doesn't, I need to be out. And then up here, I just did not get the indication that I'm looking for. I should have been short off of this right here. I should have been short right down here off of this move. I actually should have been short right here. I missed it. I missed it because I read something in chat and it annoyed the bejesus out of me. Welcome to the Human Performance Lab. Welcome to us getting triggered. When we're triggered, our subconscious processes come online and we're no longer looking at this in the context of our own participation. I couldn't get up here at the high, but I can sure in the hell get in down here. Now, if that's lagging, maybe so. But my whole system and methodology is set up for that. You guys see negative 172 today and think that I'm down today. This is from Discord today at 12:02. One of the trades that I took, 10:33. Unfortunately, here's another one right here. Look at this trade, 10:31. Look, I was in a short. Doesn't have a timestamp down here, but is around the same exact time. Price is traded back out of that area again. I'm back into a short, 10:31. It reset when I went to play back. And in this session down 197, still up. And I was up a little bit more at the end. It just didn't show my last trade. 1,100 and some odd dollars. I'm still up 900 on the day. This isn't an expense day for me. This is actually a really good day. But this is the indication here for me for a short. Price action comes down. Boom. Scalp through that. Price action comes back up here. Add some more. Why? Holding resistance. Where the sellers come in. There's your ad. I'm not going to enter here without having seller confirmation. I'm just not. If I'm lagging because of that, then I'm lagging. Thanks for defining me. I appreciate it because I don't define myself like that. And my results don't show that either. Do the same thing. Scalp out. Be in like 4 contracts at this point in time. Now you're scalped out 2 down here. You're still in with 2. And now you're just playing with the casino's money. Price action comes back up into your area. Sellers come in right into this area. Not up here. In here. Should be short again. This is why I need to practice this. Because today, reading chat completely flustered my mindset. That's not chat's fault. That's my fault. That's me taking personal responsibility for my own trading and my own development. Chat didn't do anything to me today. I did. I need to practice this. This is my 3rd week in, starting of my 3rd week doing this. And I just now have a bigger community where people are talking. People should be free to say what they want to in chat. They should never feel like they shouldn't be able to. Can it annoy me? Can it shift me? Absolutely. Is it chat's responsibility that they shouldn't be doing that? No, it's my responsibility to get better. Welcome to the Human Performance Lab. Let me show my own issues and my own problems in this. Demonstrate them live, come back and practice them and show that I can do something different and that I can apply that difference at the live edge when I'm live again to make myself better. I wish I would have done this in 98. I don't actually, because then I wouldn't be the person I am today. And I'm grateful that I love who I am today, the person who I am today. The perfect person? Absolutely not. I can only walk on water in the winter. But a person that can be in the public's eye with their own flaws, to be able to recognize those flaws, speak those flaws. I don't know. That's what I'm here for. The stream is about me getting better. And in that context, the people that see that whole process will automatically make them better if that's what they're there for. And the ones that aren't, they're going to leave. Why? Because I'm not giving them what they want. But the people that see that, they're going to see that. They're going to be like, you know what? There's something there. And we're going to go on a journey together because we're on a shared path of getting better, aligning our lives to our intentions so we shall experience fulfillment and joy rather than being stuck and wondering why we can't get better. That's what I'm here for, guys and ladies. And today, I didn't show up in a very impactful way. And it tells me a few things. 1, I need to get more sleep. 2, I need to stop worrying about what other people think about what it is that I am doing so much. which stems from self-trust. I still have a lack of trust in myself that I need to work on, but not work on as I need to fix myself, that there's something wrong with me. No. How do I work on it? To move into my intention, because my intention here is designed to create self-trust. When you think about your mistakes, it means you're growing. 100%. Yes. Thank you, Johan. I appreciate that. Truly, truly I do. No, I'm in a great place. I'm in a great place. As I am here for you as well. And I need to get off so we can have a conversation. But guys, that's what this is all about. And in that process, as a trader, I'm going to start shining. And I'm going to start showing up here in very meaningful ways. Today's session, in the morning session, had a great session. A great session. This afternoon, not so much. What's the difference to me between those two? I'm really tired right now. And I know that when I'm tired, it's much more difficult for me to focus. If I'm not focused, I'm not showing up in an impactful and meaningful way. That's something I have to work on. On that note, thank you everybody for being here. I truly appreciate you. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate the new subs today. Juan, Chris, thank you so much for joining and participating. My goal is to continue to keep showing up for you in better ways, in more impactful ways, so you can show up in more impactful ways for yourself. Because birds of a feather flock together, my friends. Thank you so much for being here. I hope everybody has a great evening. And as always, be safe, be kind, and know that you too are loved. I love you all very much and truly appreciate all of your support. Thank you. Enjoy.